All right, and we are live. YouTube, hello, how's it going? Happy New Year to everybody. It is now 2018. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, got here with my with me and JP. JP, say hello.
What is up?
All right, guys, we are here to discuss, as the title says, predictions we have for 2018, such things, and just, all about what we think will happen. To start off with, I just wanted to say that we had a good ending of the year overall, I think, with the tax cuts and that kind of deal. So hopefully, we'll all have a great Christmas present this February or the beginning of this year with the tax cuts and kind of deal. And I've been reading a lot about, or not a lot, but a few things about how luckily everyone has a lower tax bracket, and now the Democrats are very afraid that the people will see their tax cuts and will transfer to Republicans and that kind of deal. So obviously it's great for everyone else, and just to see Democrats scream and yell and go crazy. But I just wanted to say that looking forward to getting a bigger check. But I think it's funny to hear how many Democrats, such as Mr. Sanders, talked about, the tax cuts are just the worst. Now he's changing his mind. So, JP, I was just curious, since we have all these tax cuts now, do you think that it's hopefully, overall a good thing for people, or do you think that there will be any uh, unforeseen ramifications to having all these cuts for all the tax brackets?
No, I think the libertarian part of me uh, is always going to yell, the less government, the better, right? So
Sure.
I'm, I'm not crazy. I don't think we need to get rid of taxes altogether, but something in that direction is usually better than not. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm not surprised that it's Democrats that are upset about the tax cuts, but I do think it's kind of interesting that they do not see how this is actually beneficial to them. Uh, but I listened to what's her name, the press secretary.
Huckabee Sanders, or not her.
That works. Huckabee's daughter. It's daughter, right?
Sarah Sanders. Is that her name?
I know it's Sanders. Not related to Bernie, but
Right,
anyway,
right.
she had that video that kind of went viral where um, she explained how with these tax cuts, yes, the rich are saving more uh, flat dollars than the poor, but they're actually saving less. Well, it's hard to say they're saving less proportionally, but they're definitely saving less proportionally to the amount of taxes that they're paying, right? Uh, Yet for some reason, the left still wants to complain that that this is somehow benefiting the rich disproportionately than it's benefiting the poor. Does that make sense?
No, I think that's true. I don't know if you saw there was and this was I think last week potentially. I saw on the Daily Wire they had a tweet that they captured from, I can't remember the senator's name. It was a kind of a weird last name, but I can't remember it. But anyway, he tweeted about how he is very angry that yes, there are tax cuts, but he is tired of it's the issue that he had with the tax cuts is just the fact of he doesn't like to see the rich getting a tax cut in general. So it just completely destroyed the issue of okay, everyone's getting more money. It's more of the fact of I don't think it's fair that richer people can save more money. Which obviously, if you're richer, you're saving more money. Just how that's how math works out. But it was just enlightening to see. Oh, hey, there's a honest Democrat going. I don't want you specifically because you're rich to save more because I don't like the fact that you have more money. And I don't know, I mean, I do know. I'm assuming you've heard the phrase trickle down economics, and I just didn't know. Do you have an opinion on that by chance?
Trickle down economics. I don't like the term. I don't care about. I don't like the idea that just give the rich people more money and it'll find its way into the pockets of everyone else. I'm more for a flat tax, which is funny because my liberal friends think I've gone completely conservative, and I don't. I don't think the flat tax is a real conservative concept, but I would like to see uh, everybody pay the same percentage, no matter how much they spend. Actually, a flat tax on consumption would mean if you spend $1,000, or if you spend $1, 40%. You have to pay 40 cents in tax. Let's just say. Well, then if you spend $100, that's $40 in tax. If it's $1,000, that's $400 in tax. So I think that's the most fair you can ever get it, where no matter how much money you make, if you spend $1, you have to spend the same amount of pennies as anybody else. I think on principle makes the most sense. And for some reason, people are against that. They think that it disservices the poor. I don't think so, because those taxes will typically pay for things that either everybody can benefit from or that the poor can benefit from. Taxes do not pay for things that the rich benefit from. Like, that's the whole point of taxes, is to help those with less. So if the poor are paying 40 cents for $1, yeah, I know 40 cents is a lot of money for a poor person, and not so much money for a rich person. But hopefully that creates the challenges where our tax or the policies we vote on, we are more challenged to make sure that the poor are taken care of. And I'm fine with that. That would be a very interesting challenge.
No, I think that makes sense. I think, well, and to be fair, that was I asked that to you because I heard that exact same phrase on the Ben Shapiro show. One of the questions on his one of the Friday shows asked about that phrase, and he commented that was a term coined by the left, and if you Google that, then there are very few happy stories about how that works out. But if you Google the term, I believe it's
Are we talking
supply
about flat
side.
tax? Sorry. What term?
Sorry, what?
What
He
term?
was answering a question in the mailbag, and someone asked him about the success of trickle-down economics, and he was describing that that's a democratic made term, and the evidence that that works is very the Republican side called supply side, I believe. I might have that wrong. There is a lot of evidence to support that that would work out, and I agree with you a lot too. I think that a flat tax, whatever that could be, is a better idea. Just to make it simple, just to say whatever your tax bracket is, here's what you're going to pay. You know, this is it, and that way you have the incentive to spend more, in my opinion.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
agree. I definitely think
okay.
if everyone spends the same amount, or you know, I mean, yes, I think that the taxes are there to help everyone else out, but the poor benefit a lot more than anyone else does. And I don't like I don't even like the fact of, the government is giving the money back. No, the government's just not taking your money. It was never this idea of, oh, hey, we're gonna. I mean, yes, they're kind of forcing you to take the money, otherwise it's legally, it's against the law. But no, it's dumb in my opinion to say, okay, well, this person that has this much money must give to the person with less because that's the moral thing to do, and that whole story. But I mean, I definitely think that if the people with money, then they will definitely spend the money on people who don't have as much, because the only way to gain more money is to spend it and invest it, which is what you'd be doing if you lower taxes, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, you stopped. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, like, I think even if you can make a case that like trickle down economics, uh, quote unquote, works, I think it would only really seem to work when times are good. Times are good. People got money. They're employing other people. So then those people get money, right? That's the idea with trickle down economics, is like you are investing in companies that are paying people, and those people are then able to go buy gifts for their kids or whatever. It's because the rich people have money to invest that the less than rich people can do fun things. That's kind of the idea, and I'm probably oversimplifying it. But I think that seems all great when times are good, but when times go bad, all of a sudden you're firing people or you're not hiring as many people. And that same money is not really finding it into the pockets of everybody, or at least not as many people as it was. And I think rightfully so, you have a bunch of people at the bottom really upset. And they're like, well, wait a minute, times are bad. And for some reason, the rich people are getting all this extra money, uh, arguably taking it away from us, right? That's not fair, right? So, like, I think in those instances is when you start to feel like, oh, trickle down economics isn't working, and I would agree, it doesn't, because it doesn't work. It just, what's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, I think the phrase is wrong.
Yeah, I think it's a weird phrase, first of all, but I just feel like, first of all, if anybody's making justification, I've never actually heard anybody justify trickle down economics in this way. I've never heard them say, the rich should pay less taxes than everybody else because of trickle down economics. Usually, if anybody brings it up, they're just trying to make a case for the rich to pay less taxes than they do now. They just want the rich to pay the same taxes as everyone else. And they say that that's a good thing because that'll put more money in our pockets and will, by having more money in our pockets, we can employ people and we can make the economy move, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like if we just implemented a flat tax, that wouldn't even be an argument because nobody in there, I don't think any rich person, if rich people were paying 40% tax and poor people were paying 40% tax, if everybody was paying 40% tax or 30% tax or 20% tax, whatever it is, I don't think any rich person with any kind of moral compass would go, we should pay less than everybody else. That would never happen, right? So, and if it did, I think we would just laugh at them. So I don't know. I'm really a proponent of flat tax, and I've not heard a single convincing reason why we shouldn't have it. Usually, the big reasons are, that poor people, a dollar goes a longer way. Well, that's what the taxes are for. You're not paying that much tax, but you're getting just as much benefit as anybody else if you use the roads, if you, use the libraries, use the schools, etc. So you're paying less for the same thing where they're paying a tremendous amount for the same thing. So that's one way that it's already kind of self-correcting. And the other way it's self-correcting is chances are good these taxes are paying for programs that only you as a poor person are going to use, such as, homeless shelters. Hopefully not too many people, but there are going to be people who are homeless. They are taking full advantage of that and they're paying nothing in taxes. There are soup kitchens. There are all kinds of ways that tax dollars are helping the poor. So, disproportionately to the rich. And I think that's the way it should be. I think that's the charitable thing to do. But I just wish everybody just could give into it equally. And I mean that proportionally speaking.
Sure, no, that makes sense. I feel you there. And no, and I agree. I think that's the to have a rich person say, "Hey, I'm paying taxes. It's gonna fix this road. It's gonna make sure the ambulances come, all that fun stuff," because that will and also helps indirectly, whether they want to or not, helps everyone else, rich or poor, around them as well, as opposed to, oh, hey, by the way, I'm gonna tax you, I don't know, 30 more percent to make sure that you take care of XYZ person. Well, I mean, to be fair, if they're rich and someone else is poor, it's not necessarily the rich guy's job to make sure that you're okay. And if I'm gonna invest $1 or more into rather it be with a guy who can use the money to make more money as opposed to the guy who uses the money on a Big Mac at McDonald's and that's the end of it. I mean, that's the same argument of give a man a fish and kind of deal. So it's just it's happened. I'm glad that Trump got things done and it sounds like, the economy is doing better. There are being more jobs created, more companies are investing in themselves and and their employees. So it's definitely having a positive effect on everything else, and it's a win. So I mean, good on them, and hopefully people will kind of wake up and say, oh hey, CNN, MSNBC, all these media channels have been saying, oh, this is the end of the world, we're going to die, people are dying in the streets, and then of course they're going to find a bigger lump sum in their checkbook this year, which it's not going to be $1 million for everybody, but it'll be something. It's something which is good. Realize, oh hey, CNN, they said that I'm gonna die. Here's this check. Maybe we can turn the tide and change things. So hopefully this will be a wake up call to the rest of the country to say, hey, I gotta stop. I've been hearing doom and gloom this past year with this guy in office, and here I've got a bigger paycheck now, and he's doing these things for me, and all the regulations are going down. So potentially things aren't as bad as it's made out to be. Being said, I mean, with socially speaking, do you think that I mean, obviously the Democrats are going to have a hard time convincing people that, they are going to go and die in the streets. But I mean, I'm just curious if you're a Democrat now. Well, I mean, is there any okay, what's a good game plan for them for this year, in your opinion?
A good game flow. Really testing my ability to put myself in someone else's shoes.
I mean, any good, I guess, I don't know, is there any good way to flip the story in your opinion, socially speaking?
Well, I mean, I understand what Democrats are saying. Like, I think what that they're compassionate, they're empathetic. Um, they want people with less not to suffer, and they look at people with more, and they're like, well, you have all this stuff, so like literally, I could take half of your wealth, and you're still going to be better off than all these poor people, right? So they don't feel any guilt at all in taking half that wealth. Like, I think it's I think I understand the view. I just can't ever agree with it on principle. I think part of the reason a lot of people are wealthy is because there's incentive to be wealthy. The more you take that away, the less that's going to happen. I mean, you're always going to have people who are rich and people who are poor. Um, the there's still a bit of a socialist in me, and the socialist in me wants to take care of the people with less, but I do not want to do it by uh, I think a better way to do it is to tax everyone equally, proportionally, and then use our democratic system to vote with that bit of tax that we have. Some portion of it should go to helping the poor, and we get to vote as a country how we do it. Um, and we all get an equal vote because we're all paying an equal percentage of the dollars that we're spending. Does that make sense?
No,
Um,
I follow you there. I think
so
that
I
that's
feel
fair. I
like,
mean, I agree.
yeah, and I
We could
feel like
have that.
honestly, if Democrats kind of took, there you go, that maybe answers your question. If Democrats that approach, if they kind of laid back and said, look, there's all these different tax ideas flying around, but we really need to maybe they can push for something that puts it more in writing, saying that we must have some percentage of the tax, purposely trying to solve the problem, which is comfort for those who can't find it otherwise, like people without homes, people who can't afford to eat or feed their children. I don't mind having a portion of our tax purposely for making their lives a little easier. I think a lot of conservatives wouldn't really mind as much if they didn't also feel like the money was being taken from them and then decisions were being made without them. You know what I mean? Uh,
Right, right.
I really I think about that sometimes. But in the past, I feel like the church would take care of a lot of that stuff. If you had a church, and it doesn't have to be a church today, but there could be some sort of community gathering where people in the town donate money and come up with ways to help the less fortunate, and offer services, housing, whatever it is they can to help those around them. And that way you don't need government at all. And that's kind of something I wanted to get into was, like you said, people are saving all this money with, well, they will be, right? It's only just starting, but they're potentially going to be saving money with these tax breaks. And you have some rich people, I forget who it was that tweeted about this, but there were a bunch of rich people who were like, don't tax me less, take my money. And it's like, well, if you really want the government to have your money, you can send it to them, they'll take it.
Right, right.
You don't need to ask them to take it from you, you can give it to them. So really what people are saying is take my money, but also take everyone else's, because that's the only way I'm going to feel comfortable with it. And what I wish, and I really think we have the tech now to accomplish this, right? Look, if I can go on Facebook where literally billions of transactions are happening a day, and I'm not talking financial, just billions of like social transactions are happening every day. I don't see why we don't have a way to just help the community around us. I wish Facebook had like and maybe I should build this, but I wish Facebook had like a Facebook donate. And it's not donate to Facebook. It's Facebook even knows where you live. So what it can do is it can find all these things in your county that you could donate to, and you can just donate to it. And then you can zoom out and you can say, well, what about your state? Okay, well, what about your country? What about international, right? What about the internet? Like, there's so many different things that you can put your money towards. Why are these people not using their public? A lot of these people are public figures. They can use their platform to get people to give money to the things that they care about. I think that would be amazing, right? I mean, if I'm okay with Planned Parenthood, I'm not a conservative, actually. A lot of people keep thinking I am. I'm pro-choice, right?
Mind blown.
Yeah, and I'm pro-choice, and even if I wasn't, I think Planned Parenthood does a lot of other things that's fine, that are great. But I don't feel it's right necessarily to make people pay for it if they really, really do feel that what Planned Parenthood is doing is murder. I don't agree, but I don't want to like compel other people to pay for it. So could you imagine if Planned Parenthood even made like an eighth of what Candy Crush makes every year? You know what I'm saying? Like it would be tremendous. Like if people just instead of spending, and nobody forces people to spend money on Candy Crush, they're just addicted to it and they spend a whole shit ton of money because it's entertaining. If there was a way to make people feel good about giving money to the things that they like, such as Planned Parenthood or the NRA or all these other things that may or may not get government money, we could actually have less government. And if we have less government, that's good because then you have people solving problems, which I prefer. Which I'm going on a little bit of a rant. I'll end very shortly. People forget that that's what government's supposed to be. Our government is a democracy because it's supposed to be the people deciding how to solve the problems. But now I feel like people don't want to solve the problems. They just want to give money to some entity called the government that they trust for whatever reasons they trust it and just expect things to be done. And it really confuses me how people on the left want to give more money to the government to solve problems under one breath, but under the other breath, they hate our government, they hate the Trump administration, and they don't think the government's capable of solving any problems. It's like, well, then don't give them your money. You should be okay with less taxes because then it puts that money in your hands to solve the problem, since you obviously think Trump can't, right? So it's a really strange. I almost think it's like a form of doublethink, but anyway.
No, that makes sense. And I think to add on to that point, I agree with your idea of I think it'd be cool to say, just to kind of piggyback off that example, if you had a, Facebook, and actually they even added a feature to it recently that I've seen. If anyone has ever been looking at the natural disasters happening in California, which isn't covered by the media a whole lot, but I've heard it on the news outlets that I watch, but there have been a lot of natural disasters in California, and I've noticed also that some of my friends, they have a Facebook post or whatever saying, here in Sacramento or wherever, and they say, okay, such and such has marked themselves as safe in this place. You go, oh, hey, it's great to know that my friend or whomever is safe and sound in this place that's having a natural disaster, so that kind of thing. But to go off of what you were saying, I agree. I think it'd be kind of cool to have I don't know, this is a terrible thing to happen, but let's just, use a awful event as an example, but maybe the an elementary school somewhere loses power for the day. So, no one gets hurt, but it's not a great deal.
And they go a totally different direction with the elementary school. I was like, whoa.
No, I hope not. No, I was gonna say, let's hope that maybe the elementary school, like it's cold outside, so maybe they lose power or whatever else, and a mom says, hey, I took my kid to the elementary school because I was hoping they'd have school today, and every now and then the schools stay open because they want to have food for the kids, but let's just say that they couldn't do that, so maybe a mom says, hey, Johnny went to school today. They let him out early. The school has no power, home with the kid, getting stressed out, whatever. And someone says, oh, hey, I'd love to go and donate to you guys, like, I don't know, $10 to show you a meal. And so maybe, through the power of Facebook and Twitter, they say, hey, such a school has lost power. So potentially, if you're in the area, give them food, donate, whatever. Again, solves the problem easily.
Yeah.
Or helping them out, like that kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm surprised Facebook doesn't have a feature like that. Obviously, if school is closed, there's a lot of schools that have programs where you can like sign up for SMS, text messages, emails, whatever, to let the parents know. But Facebook sounds like an obvious place to do that. Like if Facebook just had a feature where it was like, oh, in whatever way you can just sign up and you can get alerts, from schools, then all the schools would have this feature like immediately overnight because everybody's on Facebook. That is interesting. And I don't know if that's exactly what you were saying, but that's kind of where my brain took it, right? Where you just have these schools signing up for some program on Facebook, and then you have the parents of the kids at these schools signing up for the same program, and then they can get alerts. Similar to the, something happened in California, your friends are safe alert. You know what I mean?
That would I'm just going off that, or like a less known, I don't know, a friend of yours. Okay, maybe I'll even use a personal example that it would be terrible. Let's say I don't know, at the grocery store. I'm living alone, and there was some flooding or a fire or whatever happened. And of course, in this situation, no one's getting hurt. This is just a situation that no one gets hurt. But let's just say, I come back to my apartment and it's flooded, there's a fire or something. My apartment is no longer livable then. So I go on Facebook and say, hey guys, can't get to work tomorrow. Here's pictures of my place. It's destroyed, non-livable. And then Facebook goes, oh hey, Triple has a apartment that is destroyed. Let's help him out somehow and say, okay, hey, I'm a friend of yours. Here's $10, or hey, I'll pay for your Airbnb or whatever. Like though, like a quick fix. So I mean, the school, yeah, it's a good, but I mean, I even just mean the simple.
Yeah, on
If
a
people
personal.
are willing to or see someone in distress and know that they themselves could do something, like as you say, you put your own money there, it will happen, as opposed to you. I don't trust you. The government does not trust you to use your money appropriately. So let's let's force it upon you. I think that was kind of where you were going, right?
Yeah, and what was I going to say? So you mean like on a personal level? And, they have GoFundMe and things like that. Uh, but what would be, just to continue the brainstorm here a little bit, what would be really interesting is Facebook. You should be able to register with Facebook and vote. And I don't mean necessarily on government things, but for example, if people do care about taking care of a certain issue in their community, there's no reason that Facebook couldn't collect money, and that people could organize on Facebook, come up with a few options, and then other people who donated the money can vote on Facebook and actually completely solve a problem, funding it, voting on it, and then executing at least part of it from Facebook. Like, we have the technology to do that. And like you said, if on a personal level, you're just like, hey, my house burned down, I need money, right? Like, we would generally use GoFundMe, but Facebook could even power that. Um, People are obviously going to be skeptical if Facebook is the one place you go to for every single social interaction ever. But it makes sense because that's where every single social human being is, right? They have more people, I think, than any other social network, if I'm not mistaken.
They have about 2 billion now. Yeah,
2 billion.
I believe that was the last statistic I saw about the rate. But I mean that or Twitter. But I mean I just mean the good news about everyone's there, and it's not one of those, okay, I'm gonna throw Facebook on there and a day later I'll get a response. It's everyone's there, like you said. It's instant feedback, and it's, again, they know where you are. You're always, many people are posting. I mean, I don't post a whole lot anymore because I just don't really care about, and my day job isn't quite as interesting as it used to be. But just the ability to go and spread the information quickly, excuse me, and that kind of deal would just be really monumentally helpful because, again, like you said, we have the technology. Why not use it to the best of our ability? But before I enter down that rabbit hole again, since we're on the topic of transactions and wealth and money and that kind of thing, you just reminded me of today I was actually looking at a few videos and a few articles regarding cryptocurrency and that whole deal, and I'm not an expert in this field by any means, and I think that this is a uh, it looks like it could be promising potentially. It's still really new, and people really aren't sure what's going on yet. But I wasn't sure if you had any core knowledge on the Bitcoin and that kind of stuff, and or if you think that's going to be a success or failure overall.
Yeah, I mean, well, it ain't that new. It's been around for many, many years. But it's new in the sense that my dad and grandma know about it now. uh, but no, I know enough about Bitcoin. It's funny you said core. So I don't know if you know, but the Bitcoin that everybody talks about mostly is now coined usually Bitcoin Core, and it's kind of messed up because Bitcoin Core is not the original design of Bitcoin, but it is what was, they deviated from it, let's just say. In essence, the way Bitcoin works is, uses a technology called blockchain. I'm going to really try to do layman's terms. So anybody watching saying I'm oversimplifying it, yeah, I know. But the idea is you have a coin that was mined. It's a virtual number, really. And if you send it to me, that's a transaction. And there's a history, right? There's a ledger. And it says that your ID sent it to my wallet ID. Now, in order to do that, there are other computers that have to mine that transaction. And whichever computer mines it gets gets a little bit of money for it. You know what I mean? They get paid. So then if I send money to a third wallet, right? Same thing happens, but now that money belongs, to, or that cryptocurrency, I should say, belongs to this third wallet, and they have every single transaction up to that point of that money, of that coin, right? So you can actually look back in history and you could see the path that coin took. Like, oh, it went from this wallet to that wallet to that wallet. So down the line, after coin is get transferred around a million times, you can see the entire history of it, which is pretty interesting. That said, because of the deviations that they made on Bitcoin Core, and the more people that are using Bitcoin Core, a transaction can take, like, it can theoretically take hours. But I mean, I've even seen transactions take like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right? It's ridiculous. Which kind of defeats the purpose of currency. If you have a currency, you want to give me my money and you want to get the service, right? Well, what else is bad about it is, as more and more people use Bitcoin Core, the cost of sending the coin is going up. So do you know Steam, which is a
the
video
gaming
game
platform?
Yeah, they were accepting Bitcoin as payment, which was awesome. But they had to take it down because you bought a $30 game, but it cost you $20 to transfer the $30, right?
Wow.
Now, if you send $10,000, it still costs $20, right? But so it's not a percentage; it's like flat fees. But the thing is, most transactions are going to be small, and if you're trying to use it as a currency, even if you tried sending me $5 worth of Bitcoin, you got to pay a $20 fee. That's insane, and that number is just going to go up. So it makes no sense to do. However, there is a fork of Bitcoin called Bitcoin Cash, which is the original Bitcoin design. And as that goes up, it will be cheaper. So it's like pennies, some less than pennies to transfer Bitcoin Cash. And it'll be faster. It's like pretty much instantaneous. So I still have Bitcoin Core because I have a feeling that Bitcoin Core is going to fork again. And I want to have all that Bitcoin Core and whatever the fork is. Because usually when they fork, you get whatever the new coin is as well. So if you owned one Bitcoin when Bitcoin Cash came out, you now own one Bitcoin and one Bitcoin Cash. And I owned more than one Bitcoin. But so when it forked, I got a Bitcoin Cash for free. And Bitcoin Cash today, let me check real quick. Bitcoin Cash right now is $2,700. So just by having Bitcoin when it forked, and since I held on to it, I have something that's worth $2,700. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's and so do you think that it's gonna keep on growing, or do you think it's?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's inevitable, and actually the more you see governments trying to regulate it, I think the more valuable it's going to get because it's going to be more sexy, right? More risque. I think as a currency, Bitcoin Cash is the future because it's the only, like, you can't trade Bitcoin. It's just slow and costs so much money. Bitcoin Cash is instant and costs you fractions of a penny. Like it's cheaper than any credit card, any Western Union. Hell, even sending a check and putting postage on the corner of your envelope costs more money than sending Bitcoin Cash. So I think Bitcoin Cash has the most potential, and I think it's going to grow. Like, there's no way this technology is not going anywhere anytime soon. Nobody's thought of another technology that would be more reliable. Bitcoin is reliable. It's people complain that people are spending a lot of resources on energy, on electric, just mining the Bitcoin. But theoretically, you could skip that phase. If another cryptocurrency comes out, you could theoretically just have all the coins and just release them, so nobody has to mine them, right? But right now, since it's like the gold rush, everybody wants to mine Bitcoin, so it's going to be a thing for a while. And here's the thing. I don't know if you realize what's so impactful about this. It doesn't really make sense here because credit cards, Western, we have so many ways to transact money that are pretty reliable. We don't really think about it. But overseas, man, they don't really have ways to trade without government involvement. And I really think it's going to cause a lot of problems in the short term because you're going to have people literally going to jail. Like, I think governments are going to regulate it, and then people are literally going to go to jail for spending Bitcoin, which is crazy. But as time moves on, you're just going to see that currency become something that is out of the hands of government completely, that people will actually be able to have some store of value that they, well, I don't know if I'm butchering that term, but they're going to have a currency that they can trade without it having to go through a bank or a government. That said, I think it's very obvious that Bitcoin banks are going to be popping up. People are going to want to take out loans. People are going to want insurance just in case, they lose their Bitcoin. Like, they don't want to be responsible for it. It's not easy. If you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to lose your Bitcoin. It's not a physical thing. It's not like you can just put it in a safe and, safes don't disappear, but hard drives get wiped, or, digital keys can get stolen. So I do think you're going to see a lot of banks popping up, which kind of people will say that defeats the purpose of Bitcoin, but I don't think so. I think that's secondary. That's just like, you're paying for insurance is all. And as you see more of
No,
this,
that makes sense.
and people are more comfortable, keeping a Bitcoin account with their bank, and it'll probably be cheaper than current banks. You're just going to see everybody start using it. Moms, dads, grandmas are going to start using it, and then bam, this easily it could be 500,000 by 2020, easily. But we'll have to wait and see.
Did you by chance see the talk that Dave Rubin had with I can't remember the guy's name. He had a talk with a guy who actually
Roger Ver. He's the CEO of Bitcoin.com and therefore Bitcoin Cash. So I'm incredibly interested in Roger Ver. Actually, he did an AMA on Reddit, and I asked him a question, and he answered my question on a live stream, which was awesome.
What did you ask him?
I didn't really like his answer, honestly. I mean, he wasn't wrong, but I was looking for something juicier. I asked him I told him that he has me completely sold on Bitcoin Cash, but I wanted to know what the flaws were. Like, what are the struggles and flaws of Bitcoin Cash? And basically his answer was that there were none. That there was no actual struggle or flaw with Bitcoin Cash, except the marketing. He said that Bitcoin Core stole all the marketing. Like, it's not even technically Bitcoin because it's not the original design. Bitcoin Cash is the original design, but Bitcoin Core isn't. But Bitcoin Core is what you're buying if you buy Bitcoin. So he feels like just by stealing the name Bitcoin, Bitcoin Core has such a huge advantage. But you're seeing the tables turn. I mean, Coinbase now lets you buy Bitcoin Cash. All the major exchanges trade Bitcoin Cash. Some big players have officially decided that Bitcoin Cash is the official Bitcoin. So, if you're interested, man, drop some money down on Bitcoin Cash. I think it's worth the gamble.
You know how much it is now?
You don't have to buy a full coin. You could buy fractions of a coin. If you have $100, you could buy $100 worth. But one Bitcoin Cash is $27.81.
$27.
Oh, sorry, $2,781.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant. That sounds great. And so you're saying that buying a fraction of Bitcoin now would be worthwhile to someone in the future, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should have done it around Christmas. Everything crashed around Christmas. Bitcoin right now is at 17 grand again, which is great. But around Christmas, it dropped down about 13, 14. I mean, that's a huge, right?
14,000.
Yeah, so it's 17,000 now, and it was 13, 14,000 then. And if you do the math, that's like a 3,000. So you're looking at a 20% gain since Christmas, right? Like, that's insane. And then Bitcoin Cash, um, Bitcoin Cash is 27 now, but when it crashed around Christmas, let me double check. I mean, it went all the way down to 1,800. So I wouldn't say it almost doubled yet, but it went up probably 30, 40%.
So you're saying that right now, if I were to, I don't know, if I blew, that's a bad word. If I used or spent like 5 to 10 grand now, then I'd be investing, but it'd be well worth my time come a year or two from now.
I would think so. That's the gamble, but I think so. I wish I put all my money into Bitcoin, but hindsight's 2020. I made the same, like I put much, let me put it this way to you. I put 10 times as much money into my stock portfolio as I did into Bitcoin, actually about 11 times as much, right? And in 2 years, I made some amount of money, right? Remember what I just said, 10 times as much. So
Right.
the amount of money that I put in Bitcoin in 6 months, I made the same amount of money. Like I grew it the same amount. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, obviously Bitcoin is like chaotic right now. And if it ever becomes the currency, that's when it will stable out. But if you understand the technology a little bit, I think you can see why it's doing well. It's not a fad per se. The minute it becomes easier to send and receive money, because it's not so easy right now. You have these really long codes. A lot of people use QR codes in order to more accurately punch it in. But there's going to have to be an app that allows you to add your friends by a username, and then you're going to be able to send them money through a username. The username will just be linked to their current wallet ID. As those things start coming out and it's easier to spend, this is just going to skyrocket. I think right now it's skyrocketing because people are anticipating that. But when that happens, I think it's going to be a big deal.
So this will get rid of cash and credit potentially?
I don't think it'll get rid of it anytime soon. But potentially, yeah, you wouldn't need cash if everybody, there was a time when credit cards came out. Not everybody accepted credit cards, right? So you still needed cash. But now do you carry cash around, or do you pretty much just use your credit cards?
Honestly, if I had to, no, I mean mainly credit. If I every now and like for Christmas, I got like $20. I had that in my wallet for a few days, but it's mainly credit.
Yeah, some or debit, some sort of plastic. So same things I think gonna happen is people are gonna, if they go to a place that accepts Bitcoin, they're gonna use their phones and they're gonna buy it with their Bitcoin. But for a while, they're still gonna have credit cards, right? But now there are even credit cards popping up that on the fly, when you buy with your credit card, it'll use your Bitcoin wallet on the fly. So it's like a Bitcoin debit card now. So it works with like, you go to even now you go to the grocery store and you can just use it. So it's
Gotcha. So, sorry, I was just gonna say, so since I'm not as uh I guess knowledgeable about this, so I guess you're saying one of the reasons why the transactions take so long is because you're transferring a large number. Is that am I understanding that correctly?
No, it has more to do with the technology. I don't claim to understand it 100%, but the gist of it is Bitcoin Core puts a cap on a block size. So a block can only be, I think, 1 MB, which means if a transaction has had only so many transactions fit on one block, right?
Right.
And then some computer out there somewhere needs to mine that block, right? And as more transactions, say one block can hold 100 transactions, just to be keep the number simple, right?
Okay.
You want to be on that block because once somebody mines that block, all those transactions go through. But now if you have a million people making transactions, well, then you need, what is it? You need 10,000 blocks, right? So that means you need 10,000 computers out there mining 10,000 blocks. So it takes more time because people are racing to mine them, but it's more resource heavy, right? And because
Right.
there's more blocks, to get your block prioritized, you have to offer more money, and therefore the ones with more money are the ones that are going to get mined first, right? So it's like a race, okay? But with Bitcoin Cash, there's no cap on the blocks. So every 10 minutes, they just take the block and they release it. And then there's like 1,000 computers, whatever it is, they're trying to mine it. They only have to mine one block. And then like 1,000,000 transactions will go through at once. So that's why it's pretty instantaneous. At most, it'll take 10 minutes, is the idea. Okay.
Wow.
So, again, if anybody's watching and wants to like fix any of my broken understanding of it, please do so. But I think I understand it. I understand the gist of it at least. And there's a downside to it. By making the block size very large, you need larger hard drives. The computers to mine them need to be a little more pricey, but you only need to resolve less blocks, even though there's like millions of transactions, right? So it's kind of like programming. One has a processing problem, the other one has a memory problem or a storage problem. But the bet with Bitcoin Cash is, as more and more people use Bitcoin Cash, you just got to update the hardware. And as time goes on, hard drive space and stuff, that's getting cheaper and cheaper. So it seems like less of an issue. A harder issue is processing. If you have to do more processing, that's like in my opinion, that's a worse issue to have.
That is so. Hey, you know what? You've convinced me. Maybe I can go and invest some of my hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, I'm just kidding. Invest some money into Bitcoin, and hopefully, if I make an investment now, then I can save face and learn more and make some money off that later on. So,
I bought
for anyone out there watching, I mean, it might be a
Okay.
good idea, right? But no, it's definitely something to look forward to. And again, if you guys were curious, like I said, the leader, I can't remember his name, the guy who was in charge of the Bitcoin company, he had a pretty good talk with Dave Rubin on his channel on YouTube, talking about, yeah, him. He did a pretty good job giving the basic idea of what it is, what it does, why it's important, why we care, and all this kind of stuff. So it's a good resource to use. But who knows? I guess we'll find out. I mean, like I said, this is the beginning of a new year. We're seeing a bunch of things. Hopefully, we're going to get a lot of our money back. Hopefully, we're going to add more value to everyone's lives right now with these tax cuts, and we've got Bitcoin coming, so lots of things to look forward to, and hopefully they will continue to get better, make good decisions, and 2017 was a rocky year, to say the least. I think we had a lot of ups and downs, maybe a few more downs than ups, but I'm looking forward to seeing the I think there is a much happier, bright side on the horizon for 2018. But anyway, that is about all the time we have tonight. But I appreciate all you guys for listening, and until next time, we'll see you soon. So JP, say goodbye. It's been great seeing y'all tonight.
Goodbye. It's been great seeing y'all tonight.
Thank you for it. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Until next time, we will see you. You guys have a good one. All right, thanks.